showcasing local talent, professionals, and everyday people making Salt Lake City what it is today. It's time for another episode of the I Am Salt Lake podcast.
I want to welcome you guys out today to episode 169 of the I Am Salt Lake podcast. My name is Chris Hollifield. This is my show. Thank you so much for giving it a listen, for checking it out. I want to thank all the new friends that have joined us, all the old friends for your continual support. I got a great show for you guys today. Tim Smith, he joined me on this episode of the podcast. He is the man behind Ogden's own distillery. He is the man behind Wives Vodka, Porter's Fire, Underground Herbal Spirits. We had a great conversation. We find out kind of some of the obstacles that he faced in the beginning, how he got to where he's at today, some fun stories, as well as a brand new project that he's got going on called the Underground Cash Bar. It's a Johnny Cash tribute band. For those of you that have kind of followed me a little ways and listened to some of the previous episodes of the podcast, you know how big of a Johnny Cash fan I am. So I'm really excited for this to go check him out and see some live shows and check out some Johnny Cash covers. I'm going to put all the links at iamsaltlake.com, episode 169. Check it out. Check out the show notes. Get in touch with Tim. And actually, before I do go any much further, I do want to mention that their Ogden's own distillery is having a sale for the month of May, $3 off at your Utah DABC stores. So this is a perfect chance to stock up on some Wives Vodka, herbal or Underground Herbal Spirits, or Porter's Fire. $3 off. Check them out. And if you're up in Ogden, check out the store, check out the shop up there, and pick up some merchandise. Crucial Fest 5 is just, it's coming up. It's creeping up. It's really only a few weeks away. June 18th through the 20th here in Salt Lake City. I've talked about him on previous episodes of the podcast. I've had him on the show. We've played some music. This is the 5th year. So you're going to want to make sure to get the time off from work, buy some tickets for your friends so they can come and there's no excuses. You can get all of that at crucialfest.com, June 18th through the 20th. I mean, check out some of the bands that are playing: Goat Snake, Dead Meadow, Royal Thunder, Rosetta, Mothership, Giant Squid, as well as a handful, actually quite a bit, of some of the best local Salt Lake City bands. Again, the website, crucialfest.com. Go buy your tickets. Support these guys. They are big supporters of the I Am Salt Lake podcast, so make sure to give them some love. Anyways, like I mentioned, this episode, I am joined by Tim Smith. Ryan Prince joins me on this episode, as well as John Farmer from American Musicians Radio, where the interview was conducted. Connect with Tim. Again, show notes, iamsaltlake.com. Check him out. Subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, however you find podcasts. I'm going to quit rambling. So why don't you guys join me now as we talk to Tim Smith from Ogden's own distillery. So you missed the last
Ogden
episode.
Questions. Sorry, guys. I would took a little trip to Chris's old stomping grounds.
Well, when
Ventura
you
County,
sent me a text and you were like, "I'm going to Santa Barbara," and I was like, "I grew up right there, by there," and you didn't even realize that.
Well, I knew you were in Ventura. I
thought we were buddies.
I had a little. Ventura was one of those cities where I didn't know exactly where it was along the coast of California. Yeah. I hate to admit it, but I had cousins that grew up in Oxnard, so I should have known. It was beautiful. The beach looked awesome. The pier looked great. I said hi for you.
Did you go onto the Ventura Pier at all?
No.
We
just cruised right by to Santa Barbara.
Well, we'll catch up here in a bit. We have Tim Smith. He's on the show today. We're going to pick his brain, find out his story, see what he's all about. And Ryan brought us some beverages. He's the drink man.
Tim today.
What are we drinking? Some Wives Vodka with some... you tell us, Ryan. What are we drinking?
5 Wives.
5 Wives.
Tim is behind this project. We're supporting a local company. We're going to hear all about this stuff.
Awesome. So, Tim Smith, how you doing? Thanks for coming on the show.
Oh, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. The drive down from Ogden to Salt Lake wasn't too bad?
Not too bad at all. Unfortunate for the northbound traffic, but yeah, nice for south.
Why don't you start from the beginning? Who is Tim Smith? I mean, did you grow up here in Utah? What's your background?
No, I was actually born in Garland, Texas. spent about the first 7 years of my life there, and then moved out to a little town called Crane, Texas. It's a little desert town out in West Texas, mainly known for oil production. My dad was in the oil business, and my grandfather was in the business of religion. He was a United Pentecostal Church minister, and so happened to have a church there in the town where my dad worked. And we moved out to Crane, Texas in the late 70s and lived in the parsonage of the church. I got to get my feel of hellfire and brimstone and the love of God, a lot of that really close firsthand experience. Having a grandfather being a minister was pretty interesting. But
what was interesting? I mean, what kind of minister was he?
Well, he's a UPC, or it's a United Pentecostal Church minister. So they're very.
But was he like a strict, or
very, very strict,
or laid back?
No, a very strict guy. It was very dramatic. You're very much aware of. Very much aware of, trying to get into heaven and that plan of salvation, and always, guilt on your mind, nonstop, in a Pentecostal church. I mean, I didn't have a television growing up. I didn't get to listen to the radio.
Very strict household.
Very, very strict household. My mom never cut her hair. Her hair's down to her ankles, even still. Never wore makeup, never wore a dress, or never wore pants, always wore a dress. My parents were really into the plan of salvation. And so we spent, 2 services on Sunday, youth group on Tuesday, Bible study, which is a regular service on Wednesday, and then often something church related in between, or there was always some kind of revival going on that we were visiting, which would be a week-long event of going and listening to ministers.
How did you, as a kid though? Like, cause I kind of grew up in a similar home to a degree. Maybe not, not the minister part, but as a kid I rebelled. Was that how you were? Or did you just kind of go along and that was life?
I was a pretty rebellious kid, but my parents were very good at disciplining. And I soon learned that I needed to wait until I left home before I could rebel. Especially after living in that parsonage for about a year, we moved out on location of the oil and gas plant where my dad worked. So, we were pretty much out in the middle of nowhere with just desert and a gas plant. And luckily I had, guns and all sorts of fun to be had out of doors and books indoors. But my parents were just really on us, discipline wise. It was, corporal punishment for any talking back of any sort. And I pretty much figured it out that my freedom was going to be, leaving home, and I'd just best toe the line while I was at home.
So when you left home, is that when you came to Utah? Or where did you go? So you're still in Texas.
Yeah, I eventually made it to Utah. I graduated high school in 89 and immediately joined the Air Force. Maybe about a month or two later. It's like, July 4th, I spent in basic training in the Air Force. Ended up getting a job as a armament systems specialist, trained in Denver, Colorado at Lowry Air Force Base, and then my first duty station was Hill Air Force Base, Utah. Brought me here right at the last few weeks of 1989, and reported to Hill.
What was sorry to interrupt you there, but what was your first thought? Utah. I mean, especially because you've never been to Utah before then, right? No?
I had actually been to Utah when I was 13 years old.
Okay. So you have been here then?
Yeah. A really interesting fact. My mother, who I always thought my mom was just kind of a dark complected lady, but was white because, it turns out she was adopted. My, grandfather, the evangelist, had actually been evangelizing up in Utah in a little town called Dragerton. It's now East Carbon. The town actually doesn't even exist anymore. He was ministering there and knew my mom's family. She was in a very impoverished situation in like this old railroad tie dirt floor house, and was just maybe a few months old. And my grandfather was on the at the time was in jail. He was frequently in and out of jail here in Utah for bouncing checks and minor petty crimes. But he would be out of jail long enough to make a baby and oftentimes be back in.
This is the evangelist grandpa?
No, this is
the other side.
This is my mom's dad. Yeah,
there we go.
Or my mom's real dad.
Okay.
The evangelist brought her back to Texas, and then she met my dad. But as I got a little bit older, she had done a little bit of work to discover her actual family in Utah. And so we came out to visit them, as a teenager. And so I got to meet, some of my family for the first time. And, so I had been to Utah, and I was actually pretty stoked about coming here. I remember at the time, although I really wanted to get away from home, being really afraid that I was going to go to Korea. Nobody wanted to go to Korea for your first tour. It's a remote, although looking back on it, I wish I would have gone that first time. Korea's a really good time, but,
it'd probably be a little bit better than, Utah is, an Air Force,
Yeah, the funny thing is coming here to Utah, as an adult, just getting to, for me, it was just immense amounts of freedom, because here I was still in the military, and, lots of people were having a hard time, sticking to that military lifestyle. And then, freaking out about whatever Utah laws for me, it was just silly. It's like, are you kidding? There's beautiful women. I can go out. I can have a car. I can go do what I want.
It's cheap living.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just absolutely beautiful. I fell in love with this place right when I came here.
1989, you said, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so you came here for the Air Force. Mm-hmm. You got stationed here. I'm going to probably jump ahead a little bit, just because I want to get into the nitty gritty of talking alcohol here. Did you ever leave? Or you came here in '89 and you kind of kept yourself?
I was going to say the Gulf War started shortly after that.
Yeah.
I went to at the time it was Operation Desert Shield. That was starting to heat up, and we went out in August of August of '90, and we didn't, we stayed there for just about a year. I went out with the 388th Fighter Squadron. I was in the 421st little tactical fighter squadron, and I was an F-16 bomb loader. I worked on the flight line, loading anti-personnel, anti-tank weaponry that we rained down on those poor people for a short period of time.
So how long did you serve in the Air Force then?
4 years active.
4 years active.
And I really was planning on just getting out, but a buddy of mine talked me in to staying in the reserves. Once I had spent some time in the Air Force and, being over in Desert Shield, Desert Storm, being around the pilots, I knew it was something that was kind of something I thought I wanted to do, but then I was going to be a pilot. There was just no turning back from it. I wanted to get out of the Air Force, go to college, get my bachelor's, and then go right back in, to fly. So,
what was it about that, though? You were just like, this is a no-brainer. I'm definitely going to be a pilot.
Yeah.
What was it about it, though? Like,
oh man, Top Gun, man, chicks.
No, I felt the same
cool. Thing. It was just cool.
Top Gun was my favorite.
Come on, it's a no-brainer here.
He got over there. He's like, these guys going to go up there and have all the.
So, do you still have your pilot's license in?
No.
Oh, okay.
The funny thing about it. I got out, stayed in the reserves. So I had this bomb loading job where I worked at the 419th up at Hill. And I worked the flight line some. Then I moved into a specialty, into the back shop. But I went to Weber State. I wasn't exactly for sure what I wanted to do. The Air Force recruiter wanted me to get an engineering degree, but it just didn't feel right for me. I really dug science, and, his feedback was, a strong science degree, you'll have no problem getting into the flight program. So I got a degree in zoology with a minor in botany. I also got a minor in chemistry that I ended up dropping because it was pulling my GPA down. The organic chemistry just was really,
that'll kill you.
Yeah, it was killing me. And
it's trouble.
And trying to just have a great GPA, it just didn't go that route. I was planning on going back in. I had been, I had got my pilot's. I actually never finished my pilot's license. I just went to ground school, just solo, just what I did basically the minimum what I had to do because I didn't have a lot of money at the time, just to spend on the hours. But I was on my way back in. I had actually secured a slot, and it was right in that time frame. I had been dating this girl for about 4 years. We were kind of in and out of love, I guess you could say. And I was a little bit too nice of a person to just be able to cut something off that I didn't feel was right. But,
I think a lot of us have been in that situation.
I actually moved out, was living in a little apartment. And, anyway, from just one quick little, rendezvous with her, crazy enough, she ended up being pregnant. My whole world stopped because I thought I had it by the tail. I was living my dream. I had gotten my degree. I was going back into the Air Force. I was going to be that cool pilot. It was really an ego thing for me, and it may be a power thing. But all of a sudden, I have this kid on the way, and I turned down my slot, and there was many, many years that I looked back on that just thinking that was the stupidest thing that I ever did. But now I can tell you that was the smartest thing that I ever did.
What did you want to be? Like, did you want to fly for commercial? I mean, private?
No, fighters, man.
Okay.
It was just fly fighters. I don't, maybe down the road, the airline thing, seemed kind of cool, but that was, after a long, illustrious career, flying fighters. I just really wanted to be part of that.
Well, and I wanted to touch base on Weber because Ryan went to Weber as well. So you guys kind of.
Yeah, I think we crossed paths because I got there in the fall of 96, and then you graduated in 97, I think.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. No, I just thought that was, hey, wow, what's up? Maybe awesome. You guys had lockers by each. No, I'm just, I don't know. But didn't even have a locker. But, you played football, right? For Weber, right, Ryan? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I went there. When I was in high school, actually, I got letters and phone calls from Air Force's coach.
Oh,
and
wow.
That was one of the only big schools that was looking at me, but I had good grades, I had real good test scores, and we were in kind of a similar offense as them, which wasn't tight end friendly. I was a tight end. I wanted to catch touchdowns and be the man, right?
Yeah.
Instead of just block for the running backs, like, no thanks. So I wasn't real interested either in like getting up so early. And then I found out that at my height, I wouldn't be able to fly an F-16. I was like, no, I'm out. Nope. But before that, I was like, maybe if I could do that, I mean, I also barely fit in a Porsche, so I mean, there's downsides to being tall, but yeah, I got up to Weber and had a good time. It's good school.
Yeah, Weber was a great time for me. Me and a bunch of guys, rented a house and up on the East Bench, and I just really enjoyed it. I mountain biked to school a lot, just along the Shoreline Trail there.
Nice.
Well, fast forwarding a little bit, how did you get involved with like distilling? That's kind of what I want to get into. I want to start talking booze here.
It's kind of a bit of a rewind where being right there on location of an oil and gas plant. I think the first is maybe what planted the seed to distillation, because you're essentially just distilling products, although it's petroleum related. It's still just columns and basically separation. Desert Shield, Desert Storm. I think being just this slow talking Texas kid, I just had a horrible drawl. What made me popular is that I was taking people's juice boxes and, fermenting it into wine and, making a hooch over there. I just had this, I think I just had some type of intuitive ability, where a little bit gleaned from my, grandfather on my dad's side had played around a little bit with alcohol, but that was my first step into into realizing how fun alcohol could be was over in the Gulf War. I'd set up a little still, but it wasn't super effective. But once I got back, I started tinkering around with distilling and made everything from just white spirits to sour mash whiskeys. And
Here in Ogden.
Here in Ogden. It's been it was really at first a hobby, before it turned into a business.
I mean, where did you get books at the library, online? I mean,
yeah, books online. I found a few books that I bought that were some engineering books on distillation. I just learned a lot about pot still distillation and continuous column distillation, and I was really through the mid to late 90s. I really got enamored with absinthe. The drink of the Green Fairy, just using the...
I have a friend that completely hallucinated while we watched him on absinthe. It was unbelievable.
Tim's just laughing.
I was like, no, I don't know what's happening.
Do you have an experience of that, Tim?
I have made absinthe to this, just the strongest that you possibly can, where you cannot possibly get any more of the
Green Fairies are all in there,
oils in there. And I would maybe relate it a little bit more to a THC like effect. I think one summer or one spring, I grew some Turkish whites on the hill of my backyard and added a little bit of kick to the absinthe, which really made it nice and mellow. But I thought that I was making this absinthe, and at the time I had a little place downtown Salt Lake during the Olympics, and I was carrying around this flask, and I had a guitar on my back, singing Johnny Cash and drinking, hanging out with my wife. She was my girlfriend at the time, but we ran into this group of Canadians, and they were drinking the absinthe and just freaking out about it and saying like, "This is awesome," and they're like, "Where did you get it?" And I was like, "Well, I made it." And, it was hard for them to believe that I'd made it, and they didn't believe me, but they said, "Well, if you made it, you should sell it." And I think it was about that time that a light came on. I had been once I had turned down this slot for the Air Force. I mean, I had done just a ton of different things. I've worked as a manager for Home Depot, I actually ended up leaving Home Depot to help out this company that was really having some trouble. They were called Carpet Max. There was like 9 locations in Utah. Got there a little bit too late. We were the little store that turned into a TGI Fridays and now a Pelican Bar. Yeah, but anyway, I just had kind of just bounced around in all sorts of different things, not knowing what I really wanted to do because I had, kind of turned my dream job down. But that was where the spark
was there when those people are, you should sell this.
Yeah.
So what happened? I mean, I started looking into how to sell it.
Yeah. I started looking into how to sell it. I went down to the DABC and asked them about, how do you start a distillery in Utah?
They laughed at you probably. Right?
Yeah. They're like, well, you can't have a distillery in Utah.
Because approximately what year was this?
This was 2002.
2002.
Yeah.
Okay. So I mean, in Utah years, that's a long time ago.
It really is.
I mean, it's not.
So is this about when you got introduced to the mob? Is about where this starts?
This is when I became the mob.
So, yeah.
Carry on. Let's hear some more.
Yeah. So they tell you can't do it.
Yeah. And
I mean, did they really tell you that?
Well, the first response was, I don't think there's even a license for that. And then,
was there any distilleries in Utah?
No, there were no distilleries then. And, I went down and I met a guy. He's passed recently, but his name was Al Potvin. He worked in the compliance, and he said, "No, there is a license, that there is something available," and we just started talking about it, and he kind of gave me not really any pointers or anything, but just told me told me what I needed to do for licensing and compliance. But the tough thing was you need money. And
it's probably a lot of money.
A lot of money, yeah. And I went to banks, and I actually, I said I wrote a business plan. I'm going to take local grain. I'm going to mash and ferment and distill, and then I'm going to take. I'm going to take this wormwood. I'm going to grow a bunch here locally. It's it's going to be this total, Utah thing, and I'm going to make absinthe.
Sell it to Canadians.
Yeah. It really, no, I just got laughed at. People literally laughed at me, and there's like, you have no idea, how deep of pockets you need to be in this business, and you're just wasting your time. You should just move on and do something else. But I just kept at it. I would just find books, or I would just look around. And back then, you just couldn't find things online. There wasn't an American Distillers Association. There wasn't a lot of information out there. And it was about 2007. It was either 2007 or 2008. I would have to just go back and look. But High West Distillery, I heard about them. They were planning on opening up a location in Park City, but for the time, they had just licensed a little facility out on California Avenue, and I beat feet down there to talk to Dave Perkins. He was the founder of High West, and in this time frame from 2002 to 2007, just by looking at the DABC. I was looking at absinthe sales, and I realized that the sales were pretty weak, to actually think that I could, fully support a business. But luckily, absinthe is an herbal, and another herbal that was selling like freaking hotcakes was Jägermeister. And so I like Jaeger, and I didn't realize so many people were buying it. So I thought, if I just back off this wormwood and stop worrying so much about the absinthe name and just focus on more of the digestive herbs that absinthe has and Jaeger has, and just start focusing a little bit more on something that's more palatable, I think I've got something. And so I started, that was where Underground had moved from the absinthe to Jaeger, to a more like a Jaeger-like, taste flavor profile. So I took my little flask of Underground that I had, gotten to the point to where it was a blend of 33 herbs and spices, and it had taken a long time to get to that point. But I went down to Dave Perkins, and it's like, I have to work here. We have to go into business somehow. This is Underground, and it's based on the story of Ogden. Ogden was the crossroads of the West, man. And back in the 1800s, it was just a den of inequity. There was opium and gambling and prostitutes and all sorts of this craziness. And Underground is my idea of what a snake oil salesman would be selling as a cure-all, for cuts, bruises, and scrapes to losing a little weight, here, Underground. And, I gave him my pitch, and he was just,
He loved it.
He loved it. Really nice guy. He gave me his little smile, and he's like, man, I remember him telling me that, you've got gumption, man. I like that. And he's like, I'll talk to my partners about it, but I don't know. We're a whiskey company. And yeah, nobody wanted to go for it. I was like, no, I will give this to you. Just, whatever, just let me have a little cut of it. I'll come work for you.
You're just like, whatever.
But no, but just, I think being in his shop, and he laid the groundwork. He was the first one to get the distillery license, but he also let me walk inside of his shop. And it was literally the first time I'd ever walked inside of a distillery before, even though I had studied so much and, read about them and whatnot. For some reason, I just didn't feel like it was important up until that time. But walking in his place, I got some ideas, and it just got me to thinking, I can build this, I can build that, here's how I can do this. I'm not going to spend $100,000, or I'm not going to spend $20,000. I'm going to take a couple $100 and, and make this work into this. And so I just started piecing together equipment. And,
now, do you need any kind of licensing? Because not anybody can just start piecing equipment together technically.
Well, you can piece it together as long as you don't use it.
Yeah.
So,
Well, yeah. Okay. So true. But what I mean is, to be able to use it.
Yeah.
You need to go get some licenses.
To be able to use it, you need a license. So,
I mean, is that pretty tough to get?
a little bit, but it's more just like a lot of hoops to jump through. First, you need to own a building, a commercial building, or lease, have a lease on a building. Which, of course I didn't have that.
So you couldn't do it in your home?
No, I couldn't do it. You can't do it in a residence.
But you can brew beer at home. You can
brew beer at home.
Why do you think there's a difference? What, because of the content, the alcohol?
Actually, I think it was prohibition. The laws that were put in place back in that time were really what makes home distilling illegal even now.
And this is through the whole U.S. or is this Utah?
No, through the U.S. Although there are plenty of hobby distillers,
yeah.
and I don't think the Tax and Trade Bureau would really have any issue with somebody actually home distilling. But as soon as you start moving it and money starts changing hands, they want their tax, and it's a high rate. So that's probably the biggest bill that I pay even now is my tax payments.
Just because I'm trying to understand, with Utah laws, because you hear about all the crazy Utah liquor laws.
Exactly.
I was just curious what kind of hoops you had to jump through in the beginning.
It was surprisingly easy.
Okay.
Aside from the fact that, I'm not a big fan of paperwork and all of these different forms and, it was really surprisingly easy. I had, at this time, when I had gone down and talked to Dave Perkins, I was actually working full time up on the base as a civilian contractor. And I would go in at 5 o'clock in the morning, get off at 2. And then I got into the mortgage business. And so I would work, the mortgage business at night. And so I was starting to just bankroll a little bit of money. And I had just had my plan figured out. I'm just going to start putting this money together, rent this building, and I'm just going to just baby steps. I'm going to baby step my way into this because to get a license, you have to have a lease on a building and you have to have the equipment sitting in there ready to go before you can actually get the license. So I was working towards that. And, this was in 2008. I really thought I had this thing totally nailed down. I was doing pretty good with my mortgage loans. I was just cold calling. I didn't have relationships or anything. And so I would just go in and cold call people with, high interest rates and high credit card debt and, roll that into their mortgage and give them a fresh new start. And so I would call Utah right when I got there. And then I would call New Mexico. Then I would call Alaska, and just have a really late night, just turning loans. I got pretty cocky and I quit my job on base. I mean, I literally just walked out, left a nice paying job with lots of days off and all of that sort of thing to pursue the mortgage business and get, just get more cash built up. And it was about that time that, everything just kind of fell out the bottom of the mortgage business. And, it looked bad. I had my building. I had actually received my federal license, but I didn't have my state license. The state license was something like $4,000, and all they were looking for was my federal license. They were basically just ready to sign off on it. But, when all of a sudden everything's kind of falling out from under you, things just about came off the track and I just about lost everything. But it was that time when I met Steve Conlon, who is now our general manager. He helped me immensely in sharpening up my business plan to make it attractive to investors. He rounded up the investors, helped me immensely with, my imagery. The logo on Underground I had created, but my wife and brother didn't like it and it didn't look like it was actually going to make it on the bottle. It was a whole different concept. Steve saw the logo. It's like, no, that's going on there. And, and he's been a real key element. I've butted heads with that guy, hundreds of times, but he's been a really strong supporter and has helped rolling out the brands thereafter. But it was a matter of April 2009, we got our money, and July of 2009, I had Underground sitting on the shelf, and we started selling in Utah. And it was an uphill battle. It was really funny to see looks on people's faces when you're walking in and telling them about this product that you make in Ogden. People literally thought I was selling Amway or something, Where
do I sign up?
It was just hard for people to bite it off.
Why do you think that was?
Just because no one was doing it. High West did have their whiskey, but I'm sure they were having some, challenges as well. They had an amazing product where they had a great deal worked out to where they were able to come out of the gate with, a several-year-old mature whiskey that Dave had put his touch on the blend, but they had just this imagery that I think made it a little bit easier, like they'd been around forever. And I imagine that they had plenty of trials and themselves. But it was a little bit of a slow start, but I think we did about 140,000 from July to December, which was
your first year.
Yeah, our first year.
Yeah, wow.
And
that's good, though.
Yeah, and then the second year, we took Underground to the San Francisco World Spirits Competition. It took double gold.
Nice. Congratulations there.
And every competition that we've taken Underground to, it's at least walking away with the gold. It's taken best in category. It's an 80 proof. It's an 80 proof versus, Jaeger being a 70. I mean, we are kind of in that Me Too line, but it stands on its own. It's not like I didn't try to knock off Jaeger. I just tried to make something in that category. So it's about half the sugar. Being American made, there's not very many, and I don't think any of the magnitude and strength of Underground. It's really a very unique product.
So what is like the response? You said you took it to California. Mm-hmm. When people find out you're from Utah, what is this stuff from Utah? What is this? You guys can't make alcohol or distill, got vodka or what? I mean, what's the response like?
A lot of laughs, exactly. You can't make that in Utah. Like, no, we really do. We have a distillery. We're up in Ogden, and it's the crossroads of the West. And I love telling the story of Ogden, and to me, it's just like it's just such a romantic thing. The history that 25th Street.
Oh, it is. It's beautiful.
And
beautiful.
It is. Yeah, it's just a beautiful, beautiful place and great businesses there. But yeah,
but then they taste it and they're like, all right, this is all right. Yeah. This is all right. You can stick around.
Exactly. I mean, these, some of these guys, that are just so skilled at, have such a skilled palate, will say things about Underground that, I could never verbalize, as to, the intricacies and just the great taste that it has. And it's a great, it's one of those great products for, maybe a before, after dinner, aperitif, digestif, or it's, it can work really well with a, glass of Red Bull, or a lot of the, a lot of the mixology scene is, plays around with Underground a lot because it's, it's loaded with bitters and, simple syrups. So it'll make a great old fashioned. Or all sorts of, specialty, drinks. It lends well to, cocktails, but my main, goal for it was just to be a shooter.
Have you tried it, Chris?
I probably have in my years of
I got to spend a little bit of time in Germany, and I remember being stuffed at dinner once and looking at their menu, their drinks menu, and it had, red wines, white wines, had all the different sections, beers, and it had digestifs with a V on the end. And I was like, what are these? I never even heard of it. And went down the list, and Jägermeister was on it, and I was like, oh, that makes sense. That's the first time I ever heard that term. And so Jaeger was actually my little weapon of choice at Weber State. I'd fill up a little bottle of it and take it to the house party, throw it in the freezer, come revisit whenever you wanted. But so when I saw Underground, I was like, I'm definitely trying this stuff. And you're right, and it's really easy to drink on ice. Like as a late night type of deal. Yeah. Did a really good job with that. How far and wide are sales? What's your distribution right now?
We have, I think we're about 17 states. We've mainly Pacific Northwest. We've gotten as far as Missouri and Texas, going east. We're working right now with a New York distributor. We also have a few, there are a few things in the works, to broaden the market. Although I'm super proud of Underground for what it is. Five Wives is what put us on the map, and Five Wives is what actually drug Underground out of Utah, to get it into the other markets. I believe it was, we released Five Wives in, towards the end of 2011. And, I believe it was about, April, May, the next year. We had a broker up in Idaho, and they were representing Underground for us and doing a good job. And Underground, it was doing well in Idaho. And, we have a friend up there that owns a few bars, fantastic bars, great guy. He was pushing Underground for us. And,
now what part of Idaho? Pocatello, Boise?
Boise.
Okay.
Yeah, Boise. Ted Challenger. He's got like China Blue, Main Street Bistro, Dirty Little Roddy's.
I've heard Boise is fantastic. I haven't been there probably for 20 years, but
Boise reminds me of, it's about halfway between here and Portland, and it's like a little mini Portland. It's just great. I love their city design, the way their downtown is structured, just lots of cool happening stuff and great people. But he, as soon as he saw the Five Wives label and tried the product, he wanted to have it up in Idaho. And so I went up and presented Five Wives to the board, and they turned it down. And it's not a big deal. You can, control states have that right to turn it down, and it's a vodka. They've got hundreds of them already.
But why did they turn this down? Why?
They don't really have to give you any reason.
They just say no.
And so Ted said, I'm going to round up some, not only for my bars, but I'm going to get some other people involved. And it was actually a broker that was helping us, but Ted was really, strong in helping us. But, they decided that they were just going to round up some bars, and they're just going to put in a big special order and order it in,
Sure, why not?
It's
right?
a federally approved label. We're just going to order it in. And, one of the controllers there, purchasing director at, the Idaho Alcoholic Beverage Control, said, no, we're not bringing that in, and we'll never bring that in, actually. And he's like, why? And he's like, he really didn't give a good description. So Steve gets on the phone, makes a few calls, sends an email asking, would you please formally tell us why you won't bring that in? And we get back on, Butch Otter, governor of Idaho, letterhead, that we will not carry your product. It panders towards children, and it's offensive to the majority of the population. And, for Steve, that was the best news that he had heard, in a long time. So,
and this is Idaho.
This is Idaho.
Not even Utah. This is Idaho.
Yeah, this is Idaho, not Utah. You would expect, would have expected the trouble to come from Utah.
Yeah. But this is, wow.
But no, this came from Idaho. And so then started the fun. I mean, Steve made a big media, blast with it, and he started this campaign called Free the Five Wives, which had the girls behind bars, and we sold shirts all over the world. I mean, we were in over 300 newspaper articles in print.
It probably boosted sales.
Oh, insane. We made mini bottles of Underground specifically for it, just so we could do tag-alongs on the Five Wives bottles to get, people were looking for the Five Wives, and, and so they were Five Wives was spreading the word of Underground, as well as just the fact that, it's a great vodka.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's, I'm still just, at least once a week, I take my little 82 Subaru, up to a spring up in Ogden Canyon, and I collect spring water, and that is the magic in the blend. I mean, really, when you're distilling a vodka, you want a neutral spirit. You want it tasteless, odorless, just as clean as you can possibly get it. And if you just dilute that with, tap water or even just distilled or deionized water, you're going to get a bland product. The spring water is what makes Five Wives have that mouthfeel, where a lot of the large corporations will use, like table sugar or glycerin, or even a little bit of high fructose, to make their vodka, just pop and have that nice mouthfeel. But ours just comes from the water from, a little private spring up in the canyon.
Nobody else can get there. You just have access to it yourself, huh?
I have access to it. Yeah. Luckily, my brother-in-law, his dad owns a cabin up there and owns that canyon.
So it really is private.
It is private.
You're not just saying that.
Yeah.
Wow. So whatever, back to Idaho then. I mean, still to this day, you're not allowed in Idaho.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No. It wasn't very long.
So people from Idaho are driving across our border to get to take
Could you relabel it as like, my 4 favorite ants and sell it up there?
Is it because
make it a little more innocuous?
It's the name, Five Wives.
Yeah,
is that really what it is?
I don't know if you've looked close at the label, what the girls are holding.
I usually don't look that close to the labels, I guess.
They're holding cats that are coming out of hidden pouches, right around waist, like a little below waist level.
Let's take a look here. We're looking at the bottle.
You're looking for the felines.
Okay, I like it. But what?
John's got a couple.
Oh, John's gonna say, what do you got there?
I mean, basically everything about your labels, your drinks, I mean, they all have a real significant meaning to them, which I love. I mean, if you don't pay attention, you're gonna miss it. But there's all these subliminal messages, and you do that with Underground, you do that with this, you do that with Porter. I mean,
Yeah.
So pay attention to those labels when you're out buying.
Yeah, back to Idaho. Jonathan Turley, George Washington University lawyer. You see him on Bloomberg, CNN. The guy's just an intelligent guy. And he is, of course, free speech activist. He took our case, pro bono, after a measly $10,000 check, but, which really
what's pro bono about that?
Yeah. For a guy like him, that was just really for some logistics. And he actually gave us back quite a bit of that money. He sent a letter, and it was a matter of hours before we received an apology and basically, a letter saying that you can, we will fill special orders. And it was just the next cycle of them reviewing products that they general listed us in the state of Idaho. And, we're still selling, in Idaho now. I just seriously love those guys. And it's sad. It's kind of sad that we gave them a little bit of a black eye and someone got caught speaking a little bit too openly, but it was great for us. Totally thankful to them.
So those kind of obstacles in Idaho, at the same time, what were you facing in Utah?
Nothing.
Really?
We were selling, our Utah sales went through the roof because people were so proud of their vodka, creating this worldwide controversy.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, you guys had not heard of it, but a lot of people did,
And I'm sure I was around and I saw it when it was happening, but when you brought it up when we were talking before we were recording, it didn't. There was a part of my brain I didn't remember it. But,
to really reach out there and hit a lot of people. It's difficult in marketing and there was millions of dollars of advertising that we didn't have to pay for.
Absolutely, yeah. Wow.
It was fantastic, and that's something where, thanks to our general manager, that label that's on there now. I had created another label before this. The name Five Wives, it came out of a brainstorming session, from a friend of Steve's. And there was a story about a first group of pioneers to head out of Missouri on their way to California. They stopped in Ogden, and, there were 66 men and 5 women. And that was kind of what spawned the name Five Wives. But I thought, just to immortalize my wife and her sisters and a few girlfriends, I dressed them all up in wedding dresses, and we took a bunch of photos and spent some money making a label. But I was proud of it, but it just wasn't popping for Steve. Steve found this image on the internet, couldn't find any background on it. It was a really grainy image, had just no idea where it came from. We searched and searched, couldn't find any type of copyright. It appeared to be pre-1900, so there was no copyright laws attached to it. So after a lot of bickering about this, and I finally decided, okay, yeah, yours is the better label. Let's go with it. We had no idea who these girls were. So during the controversy in Idaho, I noticed on a little, while scrolling through comments on, multiple posts, I saw this person said, "Oh, it's just, why are they making a big fuss out of it? It's just the Barrison sisters." Come to find out, the Barrison sisters are this vaudeville act that would travel across the East Coast and in France. They would, this is the late 1800s. They would smoke cigarettes on stage and show their ankles. And their big grand finale was asking the crowd if they'd like to see their pussies. Yeah. And so they would raise up their, outer layer, and their, in their bustle there, they'd have these kittens sewn in, and, people would just go crazy for it. And I thought it was just so fun to have this image, and we own it. I trademarked the image, and, it wasn't until just like maybe a year ago, I was watching one of those Storage Wars shows, and on that show, all of a sudden they're pulling out this frame of those girls, but in full color print. I go onto eBay and I find it for sale. I win the auction, and now I actually have a full color print of these girls. So now our banners and whatnot have a much better quality image than the one that we'd had to doctor up to, create the label.
Are you going to change their label?
No, it actually is just, it's a spitting image. You can't tell the difference on that small scale, but when you make a large banner, that new color image is just fantastic.
So so you had Five Wives, and then Porter's Fire came out after Five Wives, or when did Porter's Fire hit?
Porter's Fire just came out.
Okay.
It's only been out for, it came out right at the end of the year. Porter's Fire, I had really wanted to use Porter Rockwell just because of who he was. I mean, the man was just a crazy. I mean, you want to talk about Wild West guys, Wild Bill Hickok, Doc Holliday. They've got nothing on Porter Rockwell. I mean, this guy would roll up on somebody's camp. If they'd been not maybe, I don't know if people were, for small infractions like speaking out against the church, but, he was the law in the territory, and he was, the angel of death. He was the destroying angel, and went for years being that guy and having a reputation as that guy. And lots of people came to try to kill that guy. And, he died of old age. And, so I just from his image, on the wanted poster for an assassination attempt on Governor Boggs, I just thought we have to use this guy on a label. Joseph Smith actually spoke on his behalf in a trial, saying that if Porter had wanted to kill Governor Boggs, Governor Boggs would be dead, and so it obviously wasn't Porter. He was a very, very interesting guy. And actually had a little brewery and motel down at this location, which is now where the point of the mountain, where the prison sits.
So what do you know now that you wished you would have known when you first started this whole thing? One or two things.
That's a really tough question. I think maybe, sometimes when you have issues and, have a group of guys. I have 8 partners, all sharp, bright guys. And, we've had all sorts of, tense discussions. And there have been plenty of nights that I've gone to bed thinking about, why did I ever, do this? Why? But really looking back in hindsight, on just the key players that have come into this business, and that, I wouldn't have it any other way for Ogden's Own. I've learned so much, and I've learned what I'll do differently for new businesses that I'm starting. But I really, when it comes to this, maybe what would I have done differently? Or I wish I knew a little bit more about raising money, so I could have started it earlier, but then I wouldn't have got the talent that I got, because it took more time. If say my dad would have, given me a couple $100,000, back in 2002, I very likely would have just burned through that money and not actually created a successful business. So it's really hard to say.
Well, yeah, no, absolutely. My question though, when you were going with this, when you were starting it, you had no idea it would get to where it was or is today, I'm sure.
Right.
I mean, what kept you going? What motivated you? What kept you driven?
Passion for the product is
But
really,
that's one thing to make it for yourself.
well, when you make it for other people, it's an entirely different thing. I like to think of all the good and bad decisions that are going down the bottling line when I'm working on the floor. I still work on the line. Most of the time you can find me on the labeler because it screws up a lot. And I'm just good at fixing things. I kept myself in a position where I didn't, so to speak, move upstairs. I stayed in production and have let the guys with, maybe better critical thinking and some better decision making skills. And, we make a lot of big decisions as a group. I've stayed where I like to be, and I like making stuff, and that's what I do. I make stuff, and I like just that hands on. I love being able to come in the morning and blend up a batch and just put those finishing touches on it. And I mean, it's one of the only jobs I can come, you can come in and drink all day and, do it legally.
Do you still drink at work?
Oh yeah. You have to.
I'm good at it.
So is it open can somebody visit your distillery up in Ogden then? Like, can people listening stop by, or
Yeah,
if I was to stop by, would you show me around?
Yeah,
Or-
yeah, absolutely. We have a little,
Let's go, Ryan.
I'm in.
we have a
Field
little retail space up front where you can buy bottles. It's crazy. I'm actually selling booze.
Mini
I have-
bottles? No.
No mini bottles, not yet at least. But yeah, anybody is
With
welcome.
the VIP pass, we can come in and just ladle off in the back. Just
Yeah.
how do you do? I'm picturing you just little samples.
Yeah, we're very much a production facility, where we don't do tours, but really if I have time and somebody stops by and asks for Tim and, get the girls to, come back and get me. If I'm not too busy, I'll show just about anybody around.
Because I'd like to check it out. Would you like to check it out sometime?
That would be
Ryan?
interesting to check out.
Yeah, we'll come. Well, I'll visit sometime.
Totally welcome to come up.
Where was I going with that train of thought there?
He was going to sing some Johnny Cash. I think that's where you headed.
Actually, yeah, I do. Good call there, Ryan. Actually, before I want to bounce back to alcohol, but before we forget, you're in a Johnny Cash tribute band.
Yes.
Talk about that. I mean, that's completely different spectrum than alcohol.
Yeah, very much. Like I said, when I was a kid, we weren't allowed to listen to music other than gospel music. But the funny thing is I had a couple of Elvis albums. I had one of those Time Life, 50s, 60s, one of the big series of music. And I had Johnny Cash live at Folsom Prison. And that album, and especially when you listen to the lyrics, I cannot believe what it was in my parents' mind to, allow that album to stay in the collection. But that was something that I listened to a lot. And, just luckily my voice kind of hits right in that range. I really dig, Johnny Cash. I've played guitar ever since I was maybe 15 years old, and, got really into playing metal and, doing these crazy Van Halen, Randy Rhoads solos, but, I never took myself that seriously. I wrote a lot of music, but nothing that I really cared to play out. I'd played around with bands or, people that played. I've always just played a lot, took playing really seriously, but never, just never took that next level. And so I've always enjoyed, being in the distillery business for a while. We actually had a recording studio set up at the old location. I just like being around musicians. I like, being connected to musicians, and promoting product. I mean, when you're out in a bar, jiggly boobed bikini girls, that works, but everybody's seen that. But it's so cool when a band that everybody came to see is also stoked about your product and ordering shots of it. I think it's just so much more of an influence. So I've really enjoyed being around music. And just about a year ago, a buddy of mine, Cameron Goldsberry, he's a bassist in the Cody Jordan band. They're a reggae rock band. Him and I we've become really good friends, and they've supported the brand. But we just get together and just, I would just sing my Johnny Cash songs and have some fun with it. And heck, now it's built to, we've got about 40 songs, and and we start playing in June. I'm doing the vocals. I've got a great guitar player, Jesse Hodshire, and a drummer, Nate Chappelle. All of the guys are professional musicians.
So wait, this June? So you haven't even played a live show yet?
Have not even played a live show, a full set. Normally, most people that have heard me do Johnny Cash have heard it on my back deck or at a house party. Anytime if I'm, hanging around drinking a little bit, even sometimes at a promotion or even at I have been up on stage, where maybe a band was playing and like, get up here and do a Johnny Cash song,
Yeah.
But I've never actually fronted a band before. June 5th, I'm playing my first show at the Lighthouse on 25th Street. And it seems like the calls are coming in. Nobody has any idea, if I'm going to suck or not, but
I want to go check that out. I'm a huge Johnny Cash fan. I love it.
That's awesome. It will be a good show. It certainly will be a good show.
That may be back-to-back nights in Ogden. You're talking about hitting the Built to Spill show.
Yeah.
June 4th.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
June 4th is Built to Spill. And then June 5th, right? You said, at Lighthouse. I'm not familiar with the Lighthouse.
It's just down on the northwest end of 25th Street. It's a great place to start any bar crawl.
Okay.
It's a good starting point because you can then just move east and hit the list. I mean, I don't know if you come up to 25th Street very often.
Occasionally. I don't venture up to Ogden. I like to see Ogden, how is kind of trying to, with the twilight and stuff like that, the activity up there. I'm hoping they keep that momentum going.
I think it is. I think it's going. I mean, Ogden is it's a town that has had some serious ups and downs, and a lot more downs than the ups, but it feels like it's really moving up. I mean, there's just everything. It's just so beautiful right there on the mountain. You've got Snow Basin and Powder Mountain and Nordic Valley, right? Just right on the other side. And that 25th Street is just loaded. If you can start at the Lighthouse and go to the historic place, over to the Kokomo, across the street to Alleged, which is the newest bar. It's got a rooftop access. There's a beautiful rooftop. You can sit up there and watch the sunsets on 25th Street. And just that whole seeing the train station and just getting that feel for that vibe gets me all nostalgic. And of course there's, Brewski's, which is just like it's a staple of Ogden,
Been there many a times in my days.
When I was up there, our coaches wouldn't let us come down. That was their spot. Brewski's was their jam. I remember a few of us tried to pop in here and there, and they'd always be there. Nope, get out of here.
Yeah, I seem to recall. Yeah, a lot of purple hanging out there.
Yeah, it's a good spot, man.
And across the street, Roosters, the brewery, great beer. Kim and Pete, they're just great people. They were probably another thing that helped give me some incentive, seeing somebody put a lot of money into a little business there on 25th Street, alcohol related, and in a time when it was just really pretty rough down there. And they just had their 20-year anniversary. And
Roosters.
And, they're going strong.
Good food there.
Yeah.
Are you guys down there on 25th? Where's your spot?
No, we're on 3075 Grant. So yeah, we're, 5 blocks down. Being actually on 25th Street, I tried that. It was actually, I was looking for a spot down there, but just being a distillery and the traffic, shipping, zoning didn't work.
When I was in college, I lived on 35th and Jefferson. We'd have little like kids bringing us raw fruit in grocery carts, selling it door to door.
Yeah.
Other such nonsense on the verge of the.
That's a colorful. That's a little bit more of a colorfful area. Yeah. You're
Yeah,
right.
rent was cheap.
Yeah.
You were a college student.
Yeah, it was nice.
So what's in what's in store? What's for the future of Ogden's Own?
Well, I think just definitely continued growth in our brands, existing brands, but I would really like to see some more come out. I've had a gin forever, and
You're holding out on us with the gin?
yeah.
going on, man?
I have a beautiful botanical gin, and I know we've got some new associates in town making Jackrabbit gin. Fantastic. It's a great product. By no
Made
means
with real jackrabbits? Bits and pieces? Sorry. You're like, I'm not going to tell.
How did you know,
I'll
Ryan?
hop in your step.
Yeah, it's the mine is not that it's not really a long ways off from that one, and we've kind of held back on it just because the numbers aren't huge, and they're doing pretty decent. But I would really like to get that out, and then of course I've got a ton of different flavored vodka ideas. I'm not for sure exactly.
Is it tough to like roll too much out at once? Is that kind of what?
Is it like long debates about the label of this jackrabbit thing? Because I bet you could have like a dead rabbit and then get PETA after you, and then boom, national publicity, worldwide exposure,
or just a Jack Mormon gin, just like something really spin off right off of theirs. Yeah, new products. It's a lot of work, and then just inventory space. My warehouse is only so big, and I putting in a new SKU just means another product to manage.
Do you see yourself moving to a bigger space anytime soon? Eventually.
Yeah. We just bought this building. It was really almost comical, the place that I was working out of, where it was a business complex kind of like this, where just, multiple units. So I was in this one, then I moved to, expanded into the next one over, and then it was, another one over, and then some spot out in the Freeport cold storage, for bottle storage. And so now we have most everything under one roof, and it's working pretty well, but we are pretty close to capacity for just our holding space for what we're turning every month. And it would be nice to move, or even possibly just change our structure a little bit with like a bonded warehouse, and they just take care of our shipments.
How many employees do you have?
Probably under 20, most of them being part-time. I would say 11, 12 of them just come in on Fridays. We bottle just about every Friday. And I have it's a very interesting group, from bored housewives to musicians to,
I was going to say, just volunteers. I'll come bottle with you, right?
Yeah, well, you actually get paid, and I cook lunch too, just so I can keep everybody there. So I'm there. Last week, I did some crock pot tacos. They were freaking delicious. We could
video it and YouTube it or something, and put it. The I Am Salt Lake podcast listeners can see Ryan and myself bottling some vodka and
throwing down some crock pot nachos or whatever's that day.
Yeah,
ladling off the top.
Yeah, every now and again. When I'm lazy, we eat Lucky Slice Pizza. It's a little pizza joint on 25th Street that's just fantastic, thin sliced.
I've heard it's good. I haven't tried it yet.
Those guys are good. Those guys, they really have a great product. Go into that place, and it's just like you can't imagine anything else being on that corner. It's really neat to see 25th Street being populated, and the way it is now, and there's just a lot of great characters up there. It's a small town feel, and it reminds me of something that's just a lot bigger, but Ogden's pretty, it's pretty small.
Do you feel like an adopted son? Like everybody supporting the brand and
yeah.
making it their own?
I forced Ogden by creating Ogden's own distillery to accept me. You know, I'm like, look,
I'm a part of you, celebrating your history.
And with it being the crossroads of the West, I think it's kind of fun to have that. I'm down living at the crossroads.
Pretty much, you can find your products in every bar in Utah, right? So
Yeah.
people go in and ask for it by name.
Yeah.
When you're out drinking with your buddies or friends or clubbing.
So the absinthe and the gin are still not available for purchase.
Still not available for purchase, but you can, if you stop by my house, you can
Maybe
have a taste of both.
But speaking of that, what about
Post that
if I wanted to get a cool shirt or something, a Five Wives shirt or an Ogden's own distiller? I mean, do you guys sell merchandise at all? Or
at the store.
At the store?
3075 Grant. It's we have flasks, shot glasses, and one thing I'm not for sure if I can advertise this or not, but just ask for, is there anything else? If you buy a bottle,
is there anything else?
is there anything else that comes along with this bottle?
Hey, I don't care if you want to talk. Are you talking about it? What? Well,
it's really illegal to offer.
Okay, well, we don't need to talk about
something
it.
free, but if you buy a bottle, you might get a little souvenir.
Okay, we got it. I didn't know. I thought maybe you didn't want to talk. You didn't want me. I didn't want to talk about it on the podcast. I was like, no, you can talk about it.
Get a pony
and a free.
Anything else, Ryan or John, that you guys want to talk about before we let Tim go here? I know he's got to drive back to Ogden here.
I do. Talk a little bit about the porter and the secret that you have with the porter that we were talking about when I was up there not too long ago about, I don't know, the number that you have for the grade, for the proof of the drink. Yes, there's a little bit of something. Like I said, I mean, like you have the Five Wives with the little kitties. Let's talk a little bit about what you got.
Yeah, and the underground symbol, it's my version that symbolizes the crossroads as well as stepping into a different dimension. The Porter's Fire, I thought it was pretty neat that his old place sits there at the penitentiary, where the penitentiary is now. The competing product, or the product that is making cinnamon whiskey so popular right now, is Fireball, and they're 33% or 66 proof. I thought it would be kind of fun to do a 33.3% and make it 66.6 proof, because if you are meeting with Porter and experiencing Porter's Fire back in the day, you're going straight to hell. And I thought it was pretty fun to put that proof on there, and it's not really we don't get it in large print anywhere, but it is a little.
Your grandfather's just like, come on, killing me. Seriously, Tim.
Yeah, you could have gone bigger. Yeah, put it on his face.
Anything else you want to discuss before we close out this episode?
It's a pleasure to meet you.
No,
next house party sounds like your house, and
I'd
love to come see what you're doing. But I appreciate how much you're representing Ogden, and it's awesome to meet you in person for real.
No, Ryan and myself, if maybe we'll get John to tag along. I'd like to come and check out your spot. And,
we'd love to have you up.
And I'll drop you a message.
All right.
And let you know. And
good luck with the band.
Yeah.
And like some balls getting on stage for the first time.
Yeah.
Is there anything after the 5th in case I can't make it or somebody else, or just follow you on Facebook? I know there's Facebook links.
Yeah, the band is Underground Cash Bar.
Okay.
And the dates are just piling in. It's making me a little bit nervous. I'm really
getting on like a poker tournament with every show.
What about Salt Lake? Anything in Salt Lake or all sticking up there?
I think we definitely will be coming down. We've got an Ogden, a Huntsville.
I'm sure they're all online.
Cameron is taking care of the booking. I think we've actually have a Boise show as well, but we will definitely come down to Salt Lake.
Please do.
Please.
And what about like ways to get in touch? I mean, website addresses. I'm sure people are familiar with your product, but let's give some plugs here.
Yeah. www, of course, ogdensown.com. Underground Herbal Spirit, Wives Vodka, any of those terms will get you to, the Ogden's own.
Just
sites.
Google it and it will get there. And what about, Facebook? Connect on Facebook, I guess, with the Ogden's own on Facebook. And
with Facebook, Five Wives, Underground, Porter's Fire, they're all separate. The distillery itself, we're not necessarily focusing on Ogden's own distillery, but more of the brands.
Actually, speaking of that, I wanted to mention that you put like recipes online.
Yes.
What's that all about? Just something you kind of wanted to throw out there every day, have a different recipe of something you could make with with your drinks, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's so many different ways to consume a product, and we like to put together our marketing guys are really good at this, and I'll work on some cocktails every now and again myself, but it's it's fun to just experiment with different tastes. And when you create a product, with quality ingredients, and you get a flavor profile that you want, it's always so interesting. Of course, the marketing guys come up with stuff, but a lot of the local bartenders are giving us these, are giving us these recipes. And I think it's just so cool. Underground being like, say, in a Bloody Mary, the Under Mary. Who would have ever thought of that? It sounds kind of disgusting, but it's delicious.
Is that recipe on your site?
Yeah.
The Facebook, if you follow on Facebook, every day there's a different recipe on there. So that's another reason to connect with you guys on Facebook.
Yeah. And we're always, broadcasting our, different promotions. And
it's also kind of a funny drink name.
What about Instagram? Are you on Instagram? Do you guys do Instagram at all, or Twitter or anything? Or you don't really get involved in all that?
I don't get involved with it so much. I know we do have it. We do have a Twitter. We every now and again, I'll post to Instagram.
Okay.
You can always find some pics of me, hauling water or working around the shop. Sometimes that'll pop up from me posting, but most often, a lot of that work is, Steve is on that. And,
when's the last time you took a vacation?
I took my wife to Vegas, April 2nd for our 10-year anniversary.
Congrats.
Thanks. Thank you. We were married by Elvis at the Graceland Chapel, but not a lot of vacation time.
Yeah. You're a hard worker.
I like to work.
Yeah.
I like it. Yeah. It keeps me happy.
All right. That's going to do it. Many thanks for Ryan Prince for co-hosting this episode. Many thanks to John Farmer for letting me use the American Musicians Radio Studio. And many thanks to you guys for your continual support. There are a few ways you can support the podcast, and I want to tell you about them now. First and foremost, make sure you're telling your family and friends about this podcast through favorite social media sites. You can share them on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, however, whatever social media sites you use. Make sure you're telling your family and friends. And also rate and review the podcast. That helps boost our ratings, gets the podcast exposed to more people, and it means a lot to me when you guys leave reviews, and I love to hear what you guys say about the podcast. You can make a donation to the podcast by going to imsaltlake.com/donate. There is a PayPal button there. $1 or $2 goes a long ways. It helps with the equipment, helps with the hosting fees. It helps keep the podcast moving forward. And I want to thank those of you that have donated to the podcast. You also can support any of our sponsors like Crucial Fest. Go to crucialfest.com. Make sure you buy tickets for Crucial Fest and give them some love because they are big supporters of the I Am Salt Lake podcast. I'm here every week. Usually a brand new episode goes up Sunday evening. So make sure to subscribe. That way you don't miss a single episode. And if you want to come on a future episode, drop me an email, iamsaltlake@gmail.com. I'd love to bring you on and have you share your story with the rest of Salt Lake City. You guys have a great week. Hopefully we'll chat soon. Get in touch. I'd love to know you're out there and that you're enjoying the podcast. You guys have a great night now.